tuned into Quick Charge, the high voltage podcast bringing you the top stories in electric vehicles and sustainable energy daily. And it's all powered by electric. Welcome back to another episode of Quick Charge. It's July 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Joe Boris. We're starting off today's news with accusations from Tesla insiders that say Elon optimized full self-driving routes for himself and influencers. Tesla insiders claim CEO Elon Musk had his self-driving optimized routes that he himself takes, as well as routes taken by FSD content creators, which would explain the discrepancies in the efficacy of the system. Business Insider released a new report today based on conversations with current and former Tesla workers who claimed Tesla had been optimizing its self-driving neural net specifically for routes taken by CEO Elon Musk and other Tesla influencers producing full self-driving content. Quote from their report reads, BI spoke with over a dozen current and former Tesla employees, all but one who spoke on condition of anonymity, who said images and video clips from Musk's Teslas received meticulous scrutiny, while data from high-profile drivers like YouTubers received VIP treatment in identifying and addressing issues with full self-driving software. The result is that Tesla's autopilot and FSD software may better navigate routes taken by Musk and other high-profile drivers, making their rides smoother and more straightforward. As Fred highlights here, several annotators who talked to BI confirmed that they were tasked to specifically work on routes around Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter locations, as well as a mansion previously owned by Musk, claiming that that would undoubtedly suit Musk in having a better experience with FSD than the average Tesla driver. Look, no matter what you think of Elon Musk, if this is true, this is shocking, and this should have major implications for not only Tesla going forward, but Tesla's stock prices as well. Because Elon is making several claims almost daily about the efficacy of full self-driving and the fact that robotaxis are 1 or 2 years away. And in fact, he seems as surprised as anybody that we're not all driving around in robotaxis right now. And part of that might be because he's not getting a truly objective version of what full self-driving looks like. If he were to fly out to Chicago, hop in one of my buddy's Teslas, and we tried to go downtown on full self-driving, I'm sure he would be shocked by the differences between what we experience and what he probably experiences on his own personal drives. That's just conjecture. That's me making a wild statement, but I can tell you taking full self-driving around Austin, especially around Circuit of the Americas as I did last November, and it was like, okay. So this again from Business Insider, pretty credible source. If it's true, I think it's important and definitely something that we should all talk about. Moving on to other Tesla news, Tesla is helping China power its computing expansion with megapacks. Tesla is going to help China power its ongoing computer and AI power expansion with megapack battery energy storage systems. In a new official government release, it was revealed that Yovole Network, a Shanghai-based cloud computing data center service provider, has been partnered with Tesla since earlier this year. Yang Gang, the technical director of Yovole Network, our intelligent computing center employs combined cooling, heating, and power systems using hydrogen energy, photovoltaic storage, indirect evaporative cooling, and liquid cooling technologies. In April, we partnered with Tesla to apply their Megapack energy storage technology at our intelligent computing center. Now, we point out here that Tesla Megapacks provide energy storage capacity, enabling companies to use renewable energy sources more effectively. Now, why is that? Obviously, the sun doesn't shine all the time. Sometimes high noon, it shines too much, right? We have an excess of energy being made available to the grid. This is why battery energy storage systems are so critically important as we transition to more sustainable sources like wind, energy, tidal, even geothermal. Rather than curtail energy when there's a surplus, curtail effectively meaning it just goes away, we're able to store it and use it when there's an excess grid demand. When it's a really hot day, everybody wants to turn on their air conditioner. When it's especially cold, everybody wants to run electric heaters. When everybody plugs in their electric car at the same time, just like in the UK when they all turn on their kettles at 4 o'clock. This is exactly what battery energy storage systems are there to provide for. They enable a superior customer experience without the need to overbuild on the power production and generation side. So, always good stuff. We love to see it. Moving on from Tesla, Porsche Taycan deliveries have plummeted over 50% ahead of updated 2025 model and Macan EV. Ahead of Porsche's, quote, most powerful range of models in the brand's history, deliveries of its sole EV currently have plummeted in the first half of 2024. Porsche Taycan deliveries fell over 50% as the updated 2025 model was introduced. Porsche delivered just 8,800 Taycans to customers in the first half of 2024, down significantly from the 17,991 Taycans delivered in 2023. The drop comes after Porsche has introduced a new 2025 Taycan in February. Porsche upgraded the electric sports car with more range, power, and faster charging, although admittedly, it looks very similar to the current model. Starting at $99,400, the 2025 model year Taycan is slightly more than the previous model at $90,900. Porsche says the new Taycan model will hit US showrooms later this summer when the luxury brand will begin delivering its second EV, the Macan Electric. Porsche's CEO Oliver Bloom explained that Porsche is in a V shaped sales cycle, effectively meaning that as they shut off the supply of 2024s, demand for those vehicles is dropping, the supply of those vehicles is dropping, and we're ramping up to the new 2025 model. So even though the numbers look bad, I think what everybody's kind of expecting here is that they're going to bounce back up to normal once the 2025 model takes in. And that's important because Porsche is accelerating its shift to electric vehicles as gas powered models die off. Just like the article says, new electric vehicles launch, including the Macan, Boxster, Cayenne, and a range topping 7-seat EV. Porsche is laying the groundwork for its future. Reinbold said Porsche is looking to build a quote, so called functionally integrated battery that will have several advantages, including a lower weight. That battery is expected to be launched in the upcoming Taycan. Will then eventually see use in the Macan and then the upcoming 718 replacement for the Boxster Cayman model and of course the Cayenne full-size SUV. On the more affordable front, Hyundai has opened pre-orders for the new Casper electric EV starting at $23,000 in Korea, $15,000 after rebates. Now, there's not much more to add here. We talked about this car a couple of weeks ago when it was first getting teased. We talked about it when it was launched. Now we can see it's effectively selling for $15,000 in its home market. I think it's going to sell very well. But I want to highlight the interior of this car. This is something that I think is really, really clever, and I'd love to see something like this in the US. You've got the full fold down front seat, just like the old Volvo C40s. You've got a touch screen there, but you still have physical buttons. The instrument cluster behind the steering wheel on that dashboard, that is still a screen, but it's a screen that is showing effectively analog versions of instruments that we're familiar with. Now, there's plenty of settings in there in this vehicle that allow you to customize the look and feel of that, presumably, right? We haven't driven it yet, but I think that makes sense to assume that. You see stuff like that in Volvo, Mercedes Benz, everything else. So why wouldn't it be here in the Hyundai? Especially since it doesn't add cost and helps drivers to enjoy a more customized, tailored experience. But look at the rest of this interior and how thoughtfully laid out it is. There's a magnetic phone charger underneath the radio. There's physical buttons in there that enable people to use those when they need to for climate controls, for windows, for seats, and all the features seem to be there. So even though this is a lower priced model, it's a long, long way from the original like Hyundai XLs and Accents that you're probably familiar with if you lived through the 90s. So this is a phenomenal product and it looks like it's going to be a big hit. Moving on to the extreme high end of the automotive market, Remac is celebrating 15 years in style with an ultra exclusive $2.5 million anniversary edition Navara. Now, Mate Rimac, obviously one of the most advanced builders of EVs out there. He's been in business for 15 years, developing really, really fast electric sports cars and electric vehicles. Now in partnership with Porsche and Volkswagen Group, working with Bugatti to help develop those vehicles as well. Mate Rimac has proven himself to be a true automotive engineering genius, the likes of which other CEOs kind of pretend to be, right? So, but he's the real deal. So Scooter's article here quotes Mate Rimac saying, honestly, when I started to tinker with my first car in a garage, I couldn't have even dreamt of where we would be 15 years later. There were so many times in the early years that we really thought the company wouldn't make it. So reaching the 15-year milestone seems like it was worthy of a celebration. The 15th anniversary edition Navara is a car that marks our progress, revealing just how far we've come. From garage to global, from worrying about keeping the lights on to a $2 billion valuation, from a converted BMW 3 Series to the world's fastest production car, and from hypercar maker to tier one EV tech supplier and energy storage pioneers, all achieved in a country where all of this would have sounded like science fiction at the time of founding the company. So, if you can't tell by the way I'm talking about him, I'm a huge fan of Mate Rimac. I can't be happy enough for the guy. And the anniversary edition Remac NAA interior is equipped with copper anodized switchgear, copper painted surfaces to match the exterior, as well as 1 of 9 and 2009 to 2024 script on the armrests. Those 9 lucky customers can choose between bold black or pristine white finishes inside, and the seats are adorned with copper leather and the number 15 embossed on the headrests. And finally, we're going to close off with some factory news. The US just financed a $1.2 billion lithium ion battery separator factory in Indiana. And the reason I like this story so much is because it's talking about Terre Haute, Indiana, which I have primarily heard of in the classic Christmas Story movie. So apparently, Terre Haute is a real place, and now they're going to have a battery separation factory. A battery separator plays an essential role in the performance and safety of a lithium ion battery. A battery separator is a membrane sandwiched between the battery's anode and cathode that prevents electronic conduction, i.e., shorts or direct contact between the anode and cathode, while permitting ionic conduction via the electrolyte. This battery separator factory is being built by Entech and is expected to create 763 construction jobs and more than 600 operational jobs once it's underway. The project will also help U.S. EV manufacturers satisfy battery component sourcing requirements under the 30D Clean Vehicle Credit section of President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. That's all we've got for today, July 9th, 2024. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you heard, and if you didn't, no one cares, dude. Move on.